Chapter 15 on Velvet. Alex watched as Samantha pulled yak after yak, a black material from her sports bag. It was Thursday morning, and for once the eyes were busy with sketchers and their coaches. "Do you think it's big enough?" he said sarcastically. "It's exactly the right size," she said. "I sat up most of the night making sure." He picked up the huge cloak. "Hey, Samantha, this is velvet, isn't it?" he demanded. It was the only material I could find heavy enough. It must have cost a fortune. "Nah, I took it. It's cheaper," she said sweetly. "Took it?" he said, aghast. "You can go around taking great masses of material. Our lead was greater." She shrugged. "Oh, I wouldn't worry about it if I were you. It was just some old velvet left hanging around. Nobody's missed it." He fitted the collar around his leg. "Now, let's see. I think that too quite nicely." He slipped his thumbs through the two loops that kept the cloak in place and stood there looking a bit like a vulture, with the massive cloak spread around him, hanging to just above the floor. "You got the length just about perfect," he said. "Of course. How's the weight?" "Heavy." "Oh, I'll get used to it," he said. "Let's see how it feels on the ice." They took a couple of turns around the ring, very wary of the heavy cloak, but the weight actually made it more comfortable. It didn't flap around like a sheet, but swung slowly, giving the effect they had been after. They stopped at the end of the ring and smiled at each other. "It's going to work," he said. "Did you ever doubt me?" "Not really." He shook his head. "Now all we have to do is fit it to the routine." "Routine? Well, we'll have a full run-through on Saturday," she said. "There's a problem with this Saturday," he said. "I can make it." "What? Of course you can make it. You have to make it." "I'm sorry, Samantha. I'm out all day." "Whatever it is, cancel it. After all the trouble you went to get Saturdays together, you cancel it, Alex. One Saturday won't hurt." "And do you know how many Saturdays we got left?" she demanded. 3, that's all, 3. "Look, Sue's getting in a competition." "So what?" "So I'm going to support her," he said. "I always go and support her." "You mean you put Sue before me?" He regarded her steadily for a moment. "Now that's a really intelligent thing to say, isn't it?" he said crossly. "Sue's a good friend to you, too." Samantha didn't answer for the moment. "Yes," she said, looking ashamed. "What? So right, she is. I'm sorry, of course you must go," said Samantha. "I got to with a few hours practice on my own anyway." "Oh, Alex," looked at her worriedly. "You're sure?" he asked. "Is this really Samantha I hear talking?" "Yes, it is," she said. "Now come on, let's make up for it now." Saturday found Alex sitting in the auditorium for once, rather than on the ice. He had been there all day long, and it felt like it was at least Tuesday. She was sketching well. She was a good figure sketcher, but everybody knew she wasn't quite good enough to go much higher. For the first time in hours, Alex forgot his freezing feet, for sure, was on the ice, sketching as well as he had ever seen her skate before. Every step, every move, every jump, Alex did with her, the adrenaline pulsing around his body. He held his breath as she landed her last double axel and collapsed back into his seat when she finished with a flourish in front of the judge. He applauded loudly, wishing Toby could be there with his massive voice. Quite a few of the others in the audience joined it with him. Then her mask went up, and his mind was battling with the numbers. Yet she should hold on to third place, better than she hoped for, better than she'd done before at this level. It seemed like the age before they got to the presentation ceremony, and at last the crowd was starting to leave. Thankfully, Alex made his way to the anteroom. He had been at the ring since 9 o'clock. when the compulsory figures had been sketched, and his enthusiasm had been really stirred for the last couple of hours. He switched a smile of congratulation on his face and went in to see the catchers. Sue wasn't there, but at least his dance coat was, and some of the others from the home ring. He had a few hours with them all, then went in search of Sue. She wasn't anywhere. He tried the coffee bar, the changing rooms, even the car park, and he was really getting worried when he heard a muffled sound from behind a row of knockers. She was huddled on the floor, clasping her knees to her chest, chopping her head out. "Hey, Sue," he said, kneeling down beside her. She shook her head but didn't speak. "You should be celebrating, not crying," he said gently. He put his arms around her, and knew you couldn't get first place, not with Chrissy wept answered. "It's not that," she meant it. "What then?" She wouldn't answer at first, but sat up and wiped her eyes. "I'll be okay in a minute," she slipped. "We better be getting back. You got enough problems without mine." She tried to get to her feet, but he reached out and stopped her. "Sure, you always help me with my troubles. Now what's wrong?" She regarded him for a moment, then shrugged. "Brian broke up with me last night." "Brian did what?" Alex said. She had been going on with Brian forever. "Oh, come on, Sue. It was just one of your arguments. He'll be waiting for you when you get back." She shook her head. "He asked me to choose between him and sketching." "Oh no," said Alex, depressed. "He's been getting fed up for ages now. You can hardly blame him. I'm only doing 5 nights a week. I'm sorry, Sue." "So am I, Alex," she said. "So very sorry." He put his arms back around her. "They don't understand, do they? Any of them," he said. "They see us out there for 3-4 minutes and they think it looks pretty. They never stop to consider what it costs. The training, the social life, oh, everything." He stopped to consider for a second and added, "I didn't understand it either, still so better shopping." So blew her nose. "It's worth it though, isn't it, Alice?" It was almost an appeal. "Oh yeah," he said, a faraway look in his eyes. "It was it."